All right, welcome to the Billionaire Book Club. LifeWorks is all about purpose-driven leaders. So if these books don't help you do that, like what's the point, right? So we're going to really be clear about the resources and the input of our lives. Billionaire Book Club. I love this. Your life is a sum total of the books you read and the people you spend the most time with. And so with regard to momentum or anything regarding LifeWorks, the whole goal is to get you moving forward, get you growing. And books are a great resource and a way to do that. That most people, they stop reading right after high school, right after college, right? Once it's not necessary for their job or for their work, they just don't do it. But we find that most successful people in the world are those that read, and they have a habit of doing that daily. So here's the overall, just kind of 10,000 foot view strategy. If you're in a book club or if you want to have certain input that drives the productivity and the direction of your life, you want to just follow this. Number one, set a clear goal before you start reading. What is it that you want to read and why do you want to read it? Number two, preview the book. Get an idea of the author, like the background and where they're coming from, what they're speaking from. Number three, take effective notes. We'll talk about that. Four, make summaries for every chapter. Okay, it doesn't need to be exhaustive, but we'll talk about that too. Five is discuss with other people. There's so much power in reflection and sharing. You get more when you give more. And then apply what you learn, review and reflect, and repeat the reading for deeper insights. So how do we do that? Number one, schedule and RPM. Results planning method is what RPM stands for. And then what do you need? We'll cover what you need and then also start with the end in mind. So we're going to start January with buy back your time. Every single week, January 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 28th, we'll go through those chapters that are listed there. So you can take a screenshot or go through it or just review the email that you get and understand that these times on Wednesday, every Wednesday, 11:30 to 12 Pacific Standard Time, we will be covering those chapters. So just have read them before that time comes to pass. The other thing is get the actual book, right? If you don't have the physical book, go on Amazon. There it is, Dan Martell, Buy Back Your Time. Write your name and date it on the front inside cover. And then also write down a quick statement of what it is that you would like to have gotten from the book. Like, what do you want to receive from it? What do you want to get from it? And it's always a great way just to start. And then, yeah, when you have the date, you can always look back or reread. Some of these books are going to be books you want to reread again and again. Here's the actual things you'll need moving forward. So one is the physical book. We just talked about that. Number two is the success journal. Any journal will do. I created some on KDP. They're on Amazon now. They're super cheap and they're great resources. You do get some of them as being in the Momentum Mastermind or any of the levels of mentorship through LifeWorks, but those are great resources. Or get your favorite journal, whatever it is. Another thing is have a pen. Okay, physically writing has done so much more than just taking notes on a phone or a computer. When you take a pen, though, you want to preferably use blue ink because blue ink actually etches into the memory database of your mind. It helps you remember things. I've done studies on it. I just read Harvard Business School did another study recently. It was pretty cool about the different colors and how our brain responds to them. So use blue if you can. And then calendar your reading times. If you could read 15 minutes every single day and block out that time as just a habit, like that's what you do it every day, you read, that's going to be a huge just habit that allows you to read, 50 plus books a year. Obviously, this book club is going to go a little slower, right? About a book or so a month. But you want to have even more than that and develop the foundation, the habit. Billionaire Book Club, like I said, is 11:30 to 12 every single week, Pacific Standard Time. And then make sure you have a great attitude. So get the physical book or whatever book we're reading at the time, the success journal, pen, and then calendar out. Here's some thoughts about taking effective notes. So when you're going through the book, focus on capturing key concepts. You want to get big picture. What are some actionable items based on the author's, insights, the stories that he's teaching that I can now apply into my own life? And so there's a couple of things you can even read through that more, but the key strategies for taking notes from great books is this. Read actively. We don't want to just go through and kind of highlight lightly or audible every single book that we go through. It's good to have that too and have that in conjunction. Alex Hormozy had a great concept when he wrote his book. I think it's $100 million Leads. And he said his little hack was get the audio book and get the physical book and have them read together at the same time. Your brain can pick up quick speed too. So if you go at 2 times the speed on the Audible and you're reading through the physical book, you will pick up so much more and retain so much more by just doing that simple hack. I've done it on a couple keynote books that I like, and I'm going to plan on doing that this year with all 10 or plus books that we go through. So don't just be passive, be active, be focused. Number two is use a structured format. So here's something really powerful. Create a hierarchy of like main ideas, subpoints, supporting details, almost like when you're reading a book, you see the table of contents. You want to do that almost with each chapter that you go through. Bullet points, it doesn't need to take a long time. It could take 30 seconds. You read a chapter and then quick bullet point, main idea, sub idea, supporting detail, stories, etc. And then boom. And the Cornell method, they talk about dividing your page into 3 key sections. One is key points. So if you have a notebook, you'd have a bottom section, key points. The next section would be any questions that you can create in your own mind that you want to follow up with or learn more about. And then summary, quick summary overview. My favorite, though, is going through the final area is focus on key elements. So big picture, what's the main concept, right? Identify the central ideas, the principles that are presented, because principles can be applied. The second is what are your actionable steps? So write down specifically strategies, techniques that you can now implement in your own life, and then personal reflections. Note down how the information resonates with your own experiences and challenges. That's how you begin to build in your own mind a database of information that's not just there, but it's useful information. And so whatever you do, just use a process that works well for you. And then discuss with others. This is so important. When you are coming to a place of being in a book club or a resource, and you've been in a book club before, you've gone through a process like this, you want to be in a place where you're best prepared, because the most prepared are going to get the best out of it. The more you put in, the more you get out. So you can show up unprepared, or the second option is you can show up prepared. Anytime you show up, just show up prepared. Tony Robbins was speaking at an event recently, and I was watching the footage of it, and he says, you can be the best in the world at what you do if you just continue to show up prepared, show up ready. And I thought that was pretty cool. So be prepared. Don't just half-ass this process. Go through it with intention, knowing that you're going to get more out when you put more in. And then I'm not going to miss my shot. Michael Jordan did an interview a long time ago, and he talked about how he would take so many free throw shots before and after practice. He would stay till the end, longer than anybody else would. And he would just practice, 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 practice. I want to take that concept, that idea of repetition and review, and apply that same to this reading process. You go through a book once with our book club, Buy Back Your Time, for instance, in January. So we go through the book. Don't let that be the last time that you read it. In fact, you've done all the hardest work at the front, writing your notes, going through it for maybe the first time. The second and third and fourth and fifth and sixth time that you go through the book is going to be so much faster, so much easier, so much more efficient. And because you already know some of the information, you're going to see things that you never saw the first couple times you read it. So don't just plan on reading the book one time with the club. If it's a great book and you get a lot of value, plan on going through it again. And the next time, good news, it takes less than half the time to do it, because you already know the info, you already know what's going on, you've taken some great notes, and you're familiar with the book, so you can go a little bit faster through it. So read and review. And I think that's the last thing. Yeah, as we get into our first book, that's just a little info from Dan Martell. But we want to be learning from people who have the fruit in their own life. Are they, deca millionaires, 100 millionaires? Are they billionaires? We want to learn from people that are on that track. They're buying, flipping, building businesses, and they're making an impact, living a life on purpose. So those are the authors. Those are the people that we're going to be studying and reading from and learning from. So get the most out of this. Again, your little checklist, very briefly, what you need is get the physical book. Okay, Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. That'll be January's book. get a success journal, whether it's the one that you'll be receiving, I think on January probably 7th, they'll be hitting your address. They'll be going to your house with a little welcome pack from the Momentum Mastermind. And then, a pen that you enjoy, have that ready, your favorite pens, whatever. And then make sure you got the calendar dates right here in the calendar for what chapters we'll be covering and when we'll be covering them. So that's it. That'll be January's introduction to the Billionaire Book Club. Super excited. Next week on January 8th will be our first section, and we're covering chapters 1 through 3 of Buy Back Your Time. You guys have a good one, and we'll see you very soon.